As usual, we zoom into topics and issues here nationally and globally as well. It's time now to wheel in NORDIN Abdullah to get his perspective. A stable political reality now, that is our topic. That refers to a situation in which the political system of a country is functioning effectively and without major disruptions. Of course, NORDIN, thanks for joining us. I know it's a working day out there for you as well. But this is an important topic at this point of time, seeing that Parliament is also now in session. A stable political reality. How does political stability contribute, Nordin? Let's start with this, to economic growth in Malaysia.
Well, the first thing what it does is it allows investors, both domestic and foreign investors, to know that there will be a policy continuity. And what that means is there's not going to be any rapid switching of policies that could threaten investors, either the money that they've got here or the ability for them to operate in this country, or for them to repatriate, in some cases, the funds. So this policy continuity is really the benchmark that investors are looking for. And you can't guarantee that, in a sense, without the political stability. So the fact that Sri Anwar Ibrahim's administration now has a very clear mandate from the people is being demonstrated in Parliament, and of course the passing of this mini budget, as well as other things, other votes that took place in the last couple of days, have demonstrated that. So it will give investors the confidence. It will give policymakers also the confidence, knowing that there's a very clear mandate for them to, in a sense, spend the political capital that's been created by this last election and this consolidation of power by Sri Anwar Ibrahim. And at the same time, it will give government officials the knowledge to know that these are the political people that they are going to be dealing with for the next 5 years.
Right. So stability-wise, there is a vision, and that mission is ongoing as well. But let's talk about the political or potential consequences in case or if when there is instability. What will that do for Malaysia's economy?
Well, I think we've seen what instability looks like over the last few years. We've had political instability as well as external factors driving instability, which include the pandemic as well as regional conflicts. So I think we understand very clearly what that means in terms of lack of clear, stable political leadership and the ability for that to be continuous. Of course, the previous prime ministers were doing an excellent job. The previous ministers were doing all that they could. But the piece of the puzzle that was missing was that long-term ability to think a little bit more long-term than just, the next few months or the next few years till the next election. So I think with a longer runway, it will be, bigger planes and bigger changes. The reforms that need to take place require a longer runway. And I think that we will see in the next few years the reforms also that are needed for the economy to improve and for Malaysia to compete with our regional neighbors.
And those things will be key in terms of maintaining this stability that we're talking about to support economic growth. We know that we are, of course, in an endemic phase, moving on into 2023 in super recovery mode, hopefully, but globally as well, there are factors that possibly could disrupt this. But nonetheless, stability is the way to go. Nordin, thank you for chiming in. It's great to get your perspective. We will be checking in with you again. Till then, take care. Well, it's time for a quick breather right now. When I come back, I speak to Dr. A.T. KUMARARAJAH of NCCIM. We get his perspective now on the mini budget. That comes on right after this break on The Brief. Don't go anywhere. Now, of course, it's time to bring in our second guest, but let me give you some context. In the last couple of days, the 107.7 billion temporary operating budget has been passed in the Dewan Rakyat. It is mainly to pay salaries of civil servants and other related operational expenditure to ensure the smooth operations of the government until the new budget is passed. According to the Dewan Rakyat order paper, funds for the temporary budget will come from the Development Fund while the government reworks the proposed 2023 budget tabled by the previous government before Parliament was dissolved last month in November. Well, joining me at this time is KUMARARAJAH. Thank you for joining us and for doing this. Let's project this a little bit more. Your thoughts on Parliament the past few days,
Must congratulate the current Prime Minister, also in the 15th Parliament sitting, because a lot of things have changed, the way Parliament has been approached, but also congratulations on winning the vote of confidence despite being a voice vote. And also, I think must congratulate the current Speaker, Dr. Johari, because he's taken it like fish to water in terms of managing the Parliament as such, because this is the new unity government in the sense that but we still have an opposition, and I think it has done pretty well. Must congratulate both the opposing bench, who's also been fairly pragmatic about the way we approach this, and also congratulations to the government in terms of passing the mini budget. That's also another big news. Today, I think the Dewan Negara must have had the shortest sitting, but they too approached it in a very nice way, including all the pantun. So well done to Malaysia and well done to the parliamentarians themselves.
Now, if this, what we're seeing, is a prelude to the January sitting, how do you think the rest of the budget will take shape? Or perhaps give us an indication of what you think it might look like.
Okay. So let's look at the numbers per se, right? So I think even Bernama still tends to report the $107 billion which has been actually approved. But that's actually the operational budget itself. Then you must look at the development budget, which the Prime Minister himself mentioned, $55.96 billion. So together, that's about $163 billion, which has been approved yesterday at the Dewan Rakyat and today at the Dewan Negara. If we use that as a benchmark, that 163 billion, 107 OPEC, and another $56 billion in terms of development expenditure, that's about 45% of the total budget which was presented to us in October by the previous government. In many ways, a lot of those things have been just interjected in terms of continuation is there. And if you look at in terms of education, everything goes on as normal. First half of next year, you'll have another $150 per student per family, per student, which is also goes regardless of income levels. Look at the 50,000 MyStep jobs which will be created, 35,000 of them coming from GLPs. All these are good stuff, including the immediate need for NATMA, which is about $400 million. To me, that is a little bit of being the norm, but if you look at the development expenditure created for 2023 budget, that was about 25%. In this case, now it's 35%, but then that's first half. So we tend to have a little bit of the first half in terms of heavy. I think the budget 2023, which is to be presented in February this year, would mirror what we had seen in October last year, October this year, but with some tweaking towards the new economic landscape that we'll find challenging in 2023, Jessy. And also, I think,
No, I just wanted to say that, with regards to the budget, we have discussed at length prior to October, November, but moving forward for the 2023 sort of look at the budget, what would be some of your concerns, around the formation of this budget or this version of the budget?
So we spoke about the things that we should aspire, but also we must look into the fact that, we must present a more fiscally disciplined budget. We have 5.8 our fiscal deficit using the current numbers, even including the mini budget, you probably land at 5.8. That's not a balanced budget per se. I think our Prime Minister was one of them who, during his first tenure as a finance minister then in the 1990s, would probably had a balanced budget. But now, both COVID has given us the leeway or the room for us to actually burst our budget in terms of this expenditure. But I think putting back some discipline in terms of the fiscal deficit as we move forward in the next couple of years would probably restore the confidence in our ratings, especially at the international agencies. But don't forget, Jessy, but across the world, many people have actually broken this fiscal discipline. So Malaysia is not in a very bad position, but our room to borrow is not very high because we are already at, as the Prime Minister mentioned, 1.04 in terms of 1.04 trillion in our borrowing, which is already 63.8% of our GDP. Our parliament has only allowed us to borrow until 65% of our GDP, which is about another 100 billion or so. So, and we spend 18% of our revenue towards spending in terms of interest on our this 1.1 trillion debt. So we've got very little room left, but I think going forward, we have a disciplined approach.
Well, Ati, that is refreshing to see that moving forward there will be greater possibilities with this budget. Thank you for weighing in and thank you for sharing your perspective. We will, of course, be dialing you again. Till then, take care. Well, that wraps up this edition of The Brief. This has been The Brief with Jessy Chahal on Bernama TV. Thanks for staying with me.